a bit late because they open the place late. They normally open
Yeah,
at
no, don't
nine
worry.
o'clock, but the latest that opens was a bit late. Well, here we are. How
Yes,
was
sure,
your
don't
weekend?
worry. Uh, was great, teacher. Actually, I stayed here in my house and I didn't do something else, but it was relaxed. And yours?
Fine, it was fine too. Thank you very much. What was that? I came to Leon. I stayed at my friend's place, and then Saturday I taught a class at the language center at TopClass,
Mm-hmm.
and on Sunday I taught a chess class. That's actually why I have to a kid. That's why I have a background of cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I always put that cartoon when I teach kids. I forgot to remove it, but well, it's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah. How familiar
was
are
great.
you with? Yeah, yeah, thank you. How familiar are you with plants, Mickey? Do you like plants?
Plans?
Plants. That
Mm,
kind of like them, or
yeah, obviously I like plants, but
from nature?
yeah, but to be honest,
How about the
uh,
not
I'm
very
not pretty
keen?
informed about plants, but yeah, of course I like.
You like them? Okay.
Yeah.
I have some questions connected with nature, with plants. These are mostly from biology class. Let's see if you remember them. Um, Here we have the first question. Can you read it, please? The first one. What is the primary function?
Uh,
Can you read this?
I think that you're sharing something in Spanish, right?
Another one?
I don't know.
Ah, no. That shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that. Should be. Let me share here. Window. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. Here. What is the primary function of plants?
What is the
Okay, it's
primary
this one. Yes.
function? What is the primary function of a plant? Chloroplast, respiration,
Right. Yeah.
photosynthesis, transpiration, reproduction. Uh, mm, 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 photosynthesis?
Photosynthesis. Yes, exactly. It's the photosynthesis. Very good. Now there is a second question which is connected with the first one. Can you read it, please?
Which part of a plant is responsible for the absorption of water and nutrients from the soil? Leaves, roots, stems, flowers, stems. Roots?
The roots, exactly. Yeah, the roots. That's the stem is the tallo, right? The water goes through there and reaches the leaves and the flowers, but originally it absorbs the nutrients through the roots. So that's correct. Very
Mhm.
good, Mickey. Thank you. Let's see number three.
Which gas is essential for photosynthesis in plants?
Not the
Um,
first, the other one, the previous one. What is the main
oh, yeah,
purpose?
sorry. What is the main purpose of flowers in a flowering plant? Um, Photosynthesis, reproduction, transpiration, protection. Hmm, mm, mm, mm. I don't know. Transpiration,
It's actually reproduction.
reproduction.
Reproduction, yes, it helps reproduction because you know that the fertilization of a flower is done
Mm-hmm.
through the pistils, and the
Mm-hmm.
bees go from one flower to the other one, and they deposit this pollen, which is the pollination, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So that is the purpose. Reproduction helps the reproduction process. To the next
Okay.
one, Mickey, please. Which gas?
Which gas is essential for photosynthesis in plants? Nitrogen, carbon dioxide, oxygen, hydrogen, mm, carbon dioxide,
Carbon dioxide, exactly.
carbon
Yes. Very good.
dioxide,
Yes, exactly. And then through the process of photosynthesis, it is converted into oxygen, right? That's why
oxygen.
plants are so important because they convert something which is not so good for humans, which is carbon dioxide, into oxygen. So it's a fantastic, it's one of the most valuable processes in nature, I think, the photosynthesis. Okay, the next one, Mickey, please.
What is the process by which water is lost from the surface of a plant, mainly through small pores on the leaves? Mm, transpiration?
Yeah, transpiration. It's amazing, but these simple processes of the plants is one of the most important in nature for the ecosystem conservation. It's one of the most important. Let's see the next one, Mickey, please.
Yeah. In which part of a plant does the process of cell division and growth primarily occur? Uh, leaves, roots, stems, meristems. Mm, I think that are meristems.
The meristems, exactly. Meristems. And then the next question, please. What is the primary?
What is the primary purpose of the stomata?
Stomata, yeah.
Stomata on plant leaves. Water absorption, gas exchange, photosynthesis, nutrient transport. Mm, is the gas exchange?
Gas exchange, yes, yes, yes. It's actually what it takes the conversion of carbon dioxide into oxygen, which
Induction?
is I think is the most important purification process that is carried out naturally because when you purify water, it is
Mhm.
a human-made process. It's a synthetic process, artificial process. But this is natural. It's a natural process of converting carbon dioxide into oxygen. It's maybe one of the most important processes in nature, which is taken naturally. That's why I'm so impressed with this, right? Okay, the next one, Picky, please.
Which of the following is not a type of plant tissue? Uh, epidermal tissue, vascular tissue, muscular tissue, ground tissue. Mm, muscular tissue?
Yeah, because plants don't have muscles.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's only humans. All right, let's see the next one. Let me insert here. All right. The next one, Mickey, please.
What is the main function of the plant hormone auxin? Promoting flower formation, stimulating root growth, inhibiting leaf growth, regulating transpiration. Uh, the stimulating root growth.
Root growth, exactly. That's the purpose. And the last one, which process?
Which process involves the transfer of pollen from the male reproductive organ to the female reproductive organ of a flower? Fertilization, germination, pollination, maturation, pollination.
Pollination, absolutely. Which is the insect or animal that normally does this, transferring pollen from one plant, normally male, to the female plant? Which is the name of this insect, which is very pretty, well, useful and
Bee.
gives, yeah, the bee, and gives honey, right? Well, this process of actually, which process do you consider consider most important, the most important natural processes in nature, Mickey? Well, natural processes in nature is redundant. Which ones do you consider the most important processes that you say? Well, like photosynthesis. Uh, what else?
Yeah, one of them would be photosynthesis. I think that it's incredible how uh, plants does that process, and I think that with photosynthesis they create their own food, right? Too. It's like
Mm,
uh,
I believe so. Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Uh,
Right.
Another one will be in plants.
Well, it doesn't have to be in plants. It can be in nature, important processes or events in nature, right? For example, the tides, how the tides move, the tidal movement. Why is that important? Well, I don't know.
The tidal movement is the movement of water.
Yeah, the tidal, exactly, movement of water due to the gravitational attraction of the moon.
Hmm.
So, well, I was looking up and I found that the first one is the photosynthesis. Maybe the most important process on Earth is photosynthesis. Yeah, because that converts carbon dioxide into oxygen. The second one, which they give us, is cellular respiration. Respiration is another very important process in which, well, this is the explanation they give. Let's see if we can read it, Mickey, please. Let's read this, can we?
Yes.
Cellular
Cellular
respiration.
respiration, the process through which cells break down glucose to produce energy, releasing carbon dioxide and water as byproducts.
So, what do you think of this? Why do you think this is important?
Um, well, obviously, it is so important because this process is the way in how the different cells produce energy, utilizing the glucose. And, and yeah, it is important. To be honest, I'm not pretty informed about exactly the whole process, but obviously I've seen this in the school, and it always been so interesting for me.
Right. Yeah. When you go to the gym, for example, you do exercise, right?
Yeah,
And then that provokes the glucose to break down. Actually, something that stimulates the breakdown of glucose is exercise, because that makes that the hormones, actually, which are the hormones uh, connected with the, I mean, which hormones are released as a result of exercise? Can you look that, Mickey, please? Hormones which are released as a result of exercise, of doing exercise. That'd be interesting to know because hormones are always connected with the human body function. So
yeah, I remember
hormones are
dopamine is one of them.
dopamine, right?
Yeah, and serotonin.
S- Serotonin, yes. Serotonin. Okay, very good. These are the most important hormones. Endorphins also, aldosterone, thyroid hormones. These are all produced as a result of exercise.
Yeah,
Exercise triggers various hormones, and it depends on the type and intensity and duration of the exercise.
Yeah.
So, for example, which is the purpose of cortisol, for example?
The purpose of cortisol. Well,
Cortisol
I know. I know that cortisol is caused by stress, right?
by stress. Yes, yes. It's known. Actually, they know it as the stress hormone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that well, obviously plays different roles. Uh, I know that obviously helps to respond to stress, and obviously during exercise, normally the levels of cortisol uh, increase to provide the enough energy to do the activity that we are doing.
Exactly, and it avoids inflammatory responses. So it helps with anti-inflammatory responses. If you were doing too much exercise and you didn't have enough cortisol, pretty soon your arms would be like double size, right? But that could be dangerous. Imagine,
Yeah,
or the belly or the abdomen can be twice as big. That can be dangerous, right? Because it can tear apart the veins and arteries. So actually, by maintaining the not extremely the same size, but more or less maintaining under control the size of the organs, it allows you to do exercise with the anti-inflammatory response. So it's really good for that, right?
yeah. I
Um,
have heard one time cortisol when you're not doing exercise but you are stressed for something else. I think that uh, it gives you like negative uh, consequence too, right? You know that cortisol in occasions uh, provocate the same, but like in reverse. I don't know if
exactly.
that's, but yeah, right.
That's absolutely true. If you maintain a long period of stress, cortisol is provided continuously, and that can
Mm-hmm.
be bad for the health because you can have chronic stress and health issues. You have muscle breakdown. Your bones also suffer because there is a density reduction. Actually, I'm reading here that one of the effects is you gain weight. So
Mm-hmm.
chronic elevation of cortisol is associated with increased abdominal fat deposition, and that contributes to weight gain, and it creates sleep disruption, which is also bad, and the bone density reduction. So there are positive effects, like it's a stress response, right? You can cope with the myth that there's a tiger or there's a car, or a car approaching, and then you can jump. That's in connection with adrenaline. So cortisol and adrenaline like work kinds of hand to hand in hand. It regulates the metabolism and anti-inflammatory responses. Those are positive responses, and it helps you regulate the blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when you eat this bird seed, you know bird seed. What bird seed is? It's alpiste.
No, sure. Ah.
Alpiste. If you eat this seed, supposedly it widens the arteries of your body, so you reduce the effect of blood pressure, high blood pressure, if you intake this bird seed, alpiste, in a tea or in an infusion. The same thing happens with um, beets, Mickey. If you consume beet, then your arteries will widen and you will maintain, you will regulate the blood pressure. The opposite effect Which product has the opposite effect? I'm sure you know that, which is a vasoconstrictor that you
Mm,
drink in the mornings. Well, not you, but people in general drink in the mornings. It's brownish color. It's very common. One of the most common drinks.
mm, it helps to what?
It is a vasoconstrictor.
Vasoconstrictor.
Yeah, you drink it every day. I'm gonna drink a cup of what?
Ah, coffee?
Coffee. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
That has the opposite effect, opposite to the intake of beets and birdseed, right?
Mm,
So that is, so cortisol happens. This is what happens. Regulates the blood pressure. So that has positive and negative effects, right? Cortisol. So how, the question is now, let's see if you can find this out, please. How is the production of hormones? Uh, how do you carry out the production of hormones? How do you produce hormones in the body? That is a question. How do we produce hormones in the body? Or how are hormones produced in the body? How are hormones produced in our body? Because the hormonal production is incredibly important. So this is the question. How are hormones produced in our body? Because
well, I
that's
think that
really important.
yeah, I think that depending of our daily activities, we're gonna create different types of hormones. Well, we're gonna produce different types of hormones. Um, for example, we were talking about
Right.
uh, cortisol, and well, we produce cortisol when we receive stress. Could be a physical stress or uh, mental stress too, and obviously our body produce this hormone in consequence to the activity or what we are receiving, what our body is receiving.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Which is the organ in charge of producing the hormones in our body? Which is the name of this? What do
Mm,
you call them?
yeah, it's the well. I think that different glands make hormones, right?
Different glands produce different hormones, exactly. Yes.
Hmm.
Like the thyroid gland, adrenal glands, pancreas, pituitary glands, and other glands produce different
Pineal
hormones that have,
glands.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So that is very important. The endocrine glands produce different hormones. Yeah, that is true. Okay, do you remember which glands produce which hormones?
Mm, not all of them.
Okay, no, neither do I. Which ones do you remember?
Um, mm,
For example, the pancreas is a gland that produces which hormone?
insulin
Yes, yes. And
and glu. How is it?
glucose,
Glucose. Yeah.
yes. They also call it glucanon.
Glu- Glucagon.
Glucanon. They say that
Glucagon.
pancreas is in charge of producing these two cells, these two uh, glands, insulin, and the other is glucanon, which is
Glu-
another name for glucanon. So, what is the primary function of insulin?
mm,
This is the,
give Well, I know that people normally take insulin to maintain their sugar levels.
Yeah, pretty much, Mickey. Yes, pretty much. Its primary function, let's read the primary function, which is incredibly important and useful and interesting, I think. Let's see. Can you read it, Mickey, please? Its primary function is to.
Its primary function is to lower blood glucose levels by promoting the uptake of glucose into cells, particularly muscle and fat cells. Insulin also helps store excess glucose in the liver for later use.
Right. That is why exercise is extremely important because it allows the transformation of lower blood glucose to uptake the glucose into cells by the muscle and fat cells, right? And
Yeah.
what happens when you have too much glucose? When you have too much glucose, you cannot have it just there, right? You need to store it somewhere. Where do you store the excess glucose?
Mm,
It says insulin helps store excess glucose where?
in the liver?
In the liver, which is interesting, right? Because you say you wouldn't. Well, I would not imagine that the liver has function. One of the functions of the liver was to store glucose. I said glucose to store glucose, but why in the liver, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and I think
interesting.
that with the glucose that with the excess of glucose um, may be converted to fat, right?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That's why the best thing to burn it is through exercise. Is what you do in the gym, right? You go to the gym and you burn energy by thanks to the hormones that transform the blood glucose into sometimes into energy and convert it into muscle. How do
Hmm.
you how are the muscles built biologically speaking? From the biological standpoint, how are the muscles built?
Mm,
How do you
well,
build muscle?
yeah, there are different process that processes that build muscle. I think that one of the most famous is the hypertrophy process, and
Right, it's incredible, right? But you create an atrophy of the muscles, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, First of all, you need to have a resistance training, in which you give, well, you provide resistance to your muscles, and there are different type uh, of of exercise that you can do to provide this to resistance. One of the most famous we know is um, lifting weights
Lifting weights, right?
uh, or body weight exercise too,
Right.
and I think that what it does is that um, they start to damage the muscle. How can I say fibers or fibers? I don't know how to
Fibers,
say it.
exactly. You damage the
Right,
muscle. No, fibers. You damage the muscle
fibers.
fibers.
Yeah, and then the muscles start to repair, and it's like a process where you are damaging the fibers of the muscle. And when the muscle is repaired, it normally increase the yeah, the size of the muscle. At the same time, you need uh, to have enough protein intake, because if you don't have
Uh-huh.
enough protein intake, uh, it is difficult that your that your muscles could grow, because it's not taking the enough protein to grow. And obviously, at the end, it is so important the rest and recovery, because if you're doing a muscle every day, obviously your muscle wouldn't be recovered, so wouldn't grow because it's not receiving the enough rest that the body needs to grow.
Ah, okay. Now I understand what you're saying. I mean, and what you're saying makes me understand why sometimes when you go to the gym, you do different parts of the body by sections and not
Yeah,
muscles, legs, chest, back, all at once because you need to give them some break, some rest, right?
yeah. It's supposed that at least the muscle must rest 48 hours to train it again. That the same muscle.
48 hours
Hmm.
for a full recovery.
For a full recovery. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Doesn't it sound counterintuitive, maybe counterintuitive, that you damage the muscle to create new muscle, at least at the beginning? Now that you explain it, it sounds very logical, but at the beginning, it sounds like counterintuitive. You say, oh man, you need to damage the muscle to create inflammatory response and then to attract immune cells to the damaged area. What do you think of this process, Mickey?
Yeah. Well, I think that the majority. Uh, I think the majority people who normally trains, I think that is not aware of the process that our body does. Probably the majority just follows what other people say that is correct. That is okay. You train this in this day, and then tomorrow you're gonna train this. But sometimes we're not aware of the process that our body is doing, and and I think that it's important because when you are aware of the process that your body is doing, I think that it's easier to understand how your body works and the things that you can do to improve this process in general. But yeah, it's so interesting. To be honest, at the beginning, I didn't know that, and when I understood that, I think that it was easier to me to understand how to train correctly and how my body would respond to the train that I'm giving to my body.
Right. One of the interesting things that I'm reading is the this here that it says, which is the synthesis of the protein.
Hmm.
Right. Let's read this, Mickey. Please, can you protein synthesis
Yeah, the body responds to
in the
muscle
creation of
damage.
muscle?
The body responds to muscle damage and the increased demand for muscle proteins by initiating protein synthesis. Protein synthesis involves the creation of new proteins, including contractile proteins like actin and myosin, as well as structural proteins necessary for cell repair and growth.
So the natural response of the body is not only to create damage. I mean, you create damage to the muscles, right? Then you attract cells to repair them, and also uh, you attract you promote the creation of protein synthesis. You provoke the synthesis of the proteins, right?
Hmm.
One of them is
Yeah.
the structural protein for cell repair and growth. This is just amazing, right? How do you, strictly speaking, you damage your body to provoke growth and resistance. It's like
Hmm.
if you artificial vaccination, more or less. How does vaccination work? Well, you inject something bad into the body,
Hmm.
and that creates resistance, right?
Yeah.
Well, something similar happens with the body. You do exercise, you damage your tissues, and it provokes that your immune system comes and repairs and helps create resistance. Is that not amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing. And what I was telling you is that sometimes we're not aware of this process. We are just training and we know that we need
Yeah,
to eat
yeah.
healthy, but we don't know the process that our body is doing. Um, Meanwhile, we're training or eating healthy, and it's incredible. And the example that you mentioned of the vaccines is completely true, and I haven't realized until you say it, but yeah, it's like if you're injecting a little part of the virus to create anti, well, to create how can I say it?
Antibodies, yes, or
Yeah,
resistance, yeah.
resistance.
Well, socially speaking, and this may sound crazy, and it sounded crazy to my students, but at the beginning, I told you this story, I think, when two students who were twins, boy and girl,
Hmm.
they came to me and say, Teacher, I had a fight with Lupita. Oh, excellent, Pepe. Congratulations. And then all the students said, Teacher, they were fighting and you were congratulating them. Yes, of course. They are training for life, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
They are becoming resistant to bullying, resistant to uh, aggressions by students, resistance to abuse, and that is created naturally at home,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it looks like a crazy idea, but you are training yourselves, you're training your brother, you're training your sister, or your only brothers or your only sisters. I mean, not you, but people are only brothers or only sisters. You develop this resistance. I tell you
Hmm.
something, we were never bullied in the school, never, never, because my three brothers and I were always fighting at home, always fighting, fighting. So when somebody told us something in school, we knew how to react, how to respond, right? So we never felt like, oh, he's bullying me or he's not, never, because you created this resistance by constant uh, um, conflict. Let's say conflict, but it's like a constant exercising your response, right? What do you think of this topic, Mickey, of this aspect of creating resistance at home?
Yeah, I think that it's something necessary. Uh, Unfortunately, not all people react that way that probably we want to react, and we must be aware of that and be conscious that outside there are people of different type uh, of responses in general. That there will be people
Right.
who's gonna be nice and others that's gonna be rude, and we need to be aware of that. And I think that it's necessary to start since home, you know. And I think that helps me, at least for me, um having brothers, because obviously normally we have our problems, but in case that we have problems outside, at least we more or less know how to how to respond to those.
Exactly. How to defend yourself. Exactly right. Well,
Yeah.
it's similar to the aspect of vaccines or the aspect of muscle destruction to recreate them and make them more resistant, right? More
Hmm.
resistant.
Yeah.
That's incredibly interesting for me. Well, let's talk another one that which is really fabulous, how hormones play a big role in the creation of muscles, and this is all biology, by the way, which is great. Let's see, hormonal regulation. Can you read this, Mickey, please?
Hmm. Hormonal regulation. Hormones play a crucial role in muscle growth. For example, hormones like testosterone and growth hormone promote protein synthesis and muscle growth. Insulin also has an anabolic effect, facilitating the uptake of nutrients and promoting protein synthesis.
Right. So this is important in the muscle growth, the creations of the production of these hormones. And there's
Hmm.
one more, which is the nutrient intake. How you are able to, let me see here. Okay, the nutrient intake. This is another important aspect. Can you please read it, Nikki?
Yeah, and nutrient intake. Adequate nutrition, especially protein intake, is essential for muscle growth. Amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, are crucial for synthesizing new muscle tissue.
Okay, this is interesting, and I'm not entirely keen with this topic. Building blocks of proteins. Which are they? Do you know them, Nikki? Which are the building blocks of protein? Which are the
Mm,
building blocks of proteins?
well, what I know is that amino acids are the blocks of proteins, and but to be honest, I don't know exactly how works this process. I think that there are different building blocks, and and yeah, but to be honest, I'm not very informed.
Well, they say which are essential amino acids. These are supposedly the essential amino acids. Let's see what you think, and if you're familiar with any of these because of the gym, or maybe not. Let's see. Can you please read this, Mickey?
Hmm.
Nine essential amino
Uh,
acids.
Essential amino acids. These are amino acids that the human body cannot synthesize on its own and must be obtained through the diet. There are nine essential amino acids: uh, histidine, histidine or histidine,
I think it's histidine.
histidine, uh, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, uh, phenylalanine,
Yeah.
threonine, tryptophan, and valine.
Okay, these are amino acids that you obtain from outside sources, not internally. The body does not generate them, but they are essential supposedly, and you obtain them through a diet, right? You through the intake, and there are some non-essential amino acids which are also part of building muscle. Let's see this, please. Is it visible? Can you read it?
Yes, sure.
Okay, if you can, please.
Yes. Um, Non-essential amino acids. The body can synthesize these amino acids on its own, and they are not strictly required to be included in the diet. There are 11 non-essential amino acids: alanine, arginine, asparagine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamine, glutamic acid, glycine, proline, serine, and tyrosine.
I've heard of glutamine and glutamic acid. Heard those, aspartic acid too. But the other ones, I'm not even close. But have you heard any of these, or you're familiar with any of these, Mickey?
Mm, well, of course, I have heard um, of the majority of those, but to be honest, I'm not. I don't remember exactly the exact function of them. Uh, I remember serine more or less, and I think that
Okay.
that obviously is not an essential amino acid, but normally people who consume that is uh, it helps to the mm, to this how can I say
Synthesis?
synthesis of different
Synthesis?
uh, molecules uh, as proteins, uh, how do you say lipids?
Lipids? Yes, some fat. Lipids?
Yeah,
Yes, lipids are fats, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and well, there are certain words that in Spanish I know, but I don't know exactly how to say in English. But yeah, it helps to more or less synthesize the different molecules like lipids, proteins, and other amino acids too.
Okay. When you say synthesize is to break them down, right, in the different components and absorb what is necessary through the cells and add into the
Yeah,
bloodstream, or what do you mean when you say synthesize?
exactly that.
Okay, okay, very good. All right, very nice. So, some of the crucial roles of amino acids, you say, well, amino acids, yeah, but why do we care about amino acids? Well, they're extremely important. For example, one of the functions of amino acids is like what you just said, protein synthesis. Um, okay, let's see. Can you please read this, Mickey? Please, protein synthesis.
Yeah, protein synthesis. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Essential amino acids, along with non-essential ones, are necessary for the synthesis of proteins, which are vital for the structure and function of cells, tissues, enzymes, hormones, and other biological molecules.
Well, so that's one of the functions of the amino acids, which is extremely important. But not only that, what you were just saying, The repair of the cells that you damage, we damage cells through exercise. How do you repair them? Well, with amino acids precisely. Can you
Mhm.
please read the second paragraph, Mickey?
Essential amino acids that are essential for the growth and repair of cells and tissues. They are especially crucial during periods of growth, such as childhood, adolescence, and pregnancy, as well as during tissue repair and recovery from injuries.
Do you have you noticed that with our grandparents, uh, uh, elderly people, when you have an injury, when you have a scar, when you cut your finger, when you cut something, you have an accident, the recovery takes longer. For
Yeah.
example, have you noticed that when it's a kid, they repair an injury in 2 3 days is
Hmm.
like new, right? But when older people, it takes much longer. Why do you think that happens?
Mm, I think that it happens because uh, their cells are not too um, how can I say it?
Not
Yeah,
so
obviously
strong, or they don't.
yeah their cell growth is not so strong in comparison with a kid or with young people because obviously mm, their body normally lasts in in the different processes that the body normally does, and and yeah, and that's why the repair it takes longer.
It is much longer, right? Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, there is another concept which is enzyme function, which is extremely important and interesting. Let's see that from the chemical and biological perspective, please, Mickey. Can you read it, please?
Hmm. Enzyme function. Many enzymes, which are biological catalysts that facilitate chemical reaction in the body, are proteins. Essential amino acids contribute to the formation and functioning of enzymes, playing a key role in various metabolic processes.
So what really happens is that there are so many processes which are done internally in our body that we're not even aware of them, right?
Yeah,
But they work like a perfect machine, right? You go to the gym and lots of processes are taking place that we don't even think about, right? Well, you do, but most people don't even think about them and or are not aware of them, right? And which are incredibly important for your health, doing this
yeah, and of
enzyme
course,
function, which is just fabulous, right? Uh,
I'm just aware of some of some processes. I know that there are a lot of processes that I'm not aware, and it's incredible how our body works.
yeah, just amazing, right? As you correctly say, yeah, it's just incredible. And now, one of the most important aspects that you mentioned, that you actually said that it was necessary, is this one here, which is repair and rest, recovery and rest. This is you mentioned this, and you said that it was crucial. Let's read it, Mickey, please.
Yes, sure. Can you move it
Recovery.
a little bit the last part because it's not completely visible.
Yes, right, of course. Here, there,
Yeah, thanks. Recovery and rest.
recovery and rest.
Adequate rest is crucial for muscle growth. Muscles need time to repair and adapt to the stress imposed during the resistance training. During rest periods, muscle fibers repair and grow.
Fibers.
Yeah, fibers repair and grow, resulting in increased muscle mass and strength.
So this is actually necessary to increase the muscle mass, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Recovery and rest, adequate rest. How much is adequate? When you say, well, adequate rest, yeah, but how much is enough? How much is necessary?
Yeah, I have read in books that normally people feel like, how can I say, stagnant in the process uh, of increase their muscle mass because they does diet, they train correctly, but normally they don't rest the enough amount that the body needs. And I think that at least we need
Uh-huh.
to sleep. I think that at least 6 to 8 hours, but depending um, of the stage of life, right? Because I know that there are people who normally needs to rest more than others, but normally we need to sleep at least 6 to 8 hours
Yeah, that is true.
to the adequate rest. Yeah,
So yeah, that's extremely important. Well, so let's see the conclusion and let's see what you think of this conclusion of these experts of in artificial intelligence. How smart these programs are. Let me show it to you, and let's see what you think of the conclusion here. Can you please read it?
yeah. Consistent
Consistent.
resistance training, proper nutrition, and sufficient rest are key factors in promoting muscle growth. The process involves a delicate balance of cellular events and molecular signaling that ultimately leads to adaptation and strengthening of muscle tissue.
What do you think of this? Why is this
Mm,
so important?
yeah, um, it is so important because as we as we saw here, our body normally does different processes, and sometimes there are processes that we're not aware. And to the current function of these processes, we need to take first of all adequate rest, proper nutrition, and and those are those are key factors to the to muscle growth. And if we don't do one of those factors, it will be difficult. Um, and not only for for muscle growth, I think that in general you don't have enough energy to continue with your day. Happened to me when I'm not saying that I consume the enough intake protein, because probably I need to consume a little bit more. But normally I try to improve my diet a little bit, and then energy that I have during my day is completely different that probably 5 or 6 months ago. And you feel tired and you feel without energy, and that's why it is important to rest and to consume the what your body requires when you are doing this type of training.
Very important what you're saying. Now, a question is how much is enough? How much is a misleading question, right? How much is
Mhm.
enough? You say, well, I had enough exercise or enough rest. How much is enough? And I mean enough exercise or enough rest. How can you measure that? How can you say, well, this is good, this is not enough, this is enough? How do you know this?
Well, I would say that all depending of your stress levels. For example, if you're not a person who normally don't train, obviously it is not necessary to rest a lot because you have your energy contained in your body and you're not using that energy. But instead, if you are normally
Okay.
doing enough exercise and you don't rest, um, it is it is difficult to your body to have a completely recover. So normally, I would say that with 1 hour of exercise, it is necessary to our body to probably not thinking in a how can I say in a physical way, just thinking in health. I think that at least if we normally do 1 hour of exercising, uh, it's a good point to start, and trying to sleep to 6 to 8 hours depending, and really sleep, because in occasions we want to sleep and we don't have for well, I know that in sleep there are like cycles, right? and in location those cycles are interrupted. So
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to,
yeah, that's true.
how can I say, like, uh, there's a word I forgot in this at this time, but there's a word that in the stages of sleep, and there's a word that there's a part where we are completely, um, yeah, it's like our deepest sleep. How can I say it?
Okay,
And
deep sleep, deep sleep,
yeah,
deep
and
sleep.
this sleep, this sleep, and trying to
Deep sleep,
not
yes.
interrupt the different stages that our body is doing to recover. So something that I think that is necessary to think is the proper nutrition, and I think that depending of obviously your weight, your level activity, um, depending of that is the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fat that you need to that your body requires to do their daily activities. But there's a key that at least you need to consume 2 grams of protein per uh, kilogram of your body weight. At least you need to consume two grams of protein
Two
per
grams
kilogram.
of protein per
2 grams
kilogram
per
of the
kilogram.
body.
Yeah.
For example, if I weigh 92 kilograms, if my weight is 92 kilograms, right? That's my
Hmm.
weight currently. I need to reduce it. So it's 2 grams per kilogram. So I need to consume 184
Yeah,
grams of protein per day.
per day.
Wow, really?
Hmm. And if you
Oh, I
want to
see.
reduce your body fat, uh, you must consume between 0.6 to 1.2. Uh, 1.2 is is the maximum, but at least you need to consume between this range, um, grams of fat to
Of
reduce
fat.
your body fat. Yeah,
Consume that maximum.
maximum. The best way to do it, and it's how I seen better results, is trying to consume the less fat possible. Normally, I try to consume between zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.8 grams per day of fat.
But what has fat? Everything has fat, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
cream has fat, right? Cream,
mm-hmm.
milk,
Yeah,
cheese,
almost everything.
it's everything. Um, wow. Oh, how do you burn it? Only through exercise, right? There's no other way to burn fat.
Yeah, there are certain exercise that it makes the process um, quicker, and it's trying to do, like, how can I say it? anaerobic anaerobic exercises.
Anaerobic.
Hmm. And lifting weights helps you to burn that fat too.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Lifting weights. Well, lifting weights really refers to any kind of exercise in the gym, right? Maybe pushing some press. How are these equipment?
Yeah, yeah. For example, in the bench press, or there are different
Press,
exercises.
bench press, right?
The most important is that your body always well, that the weight that you're lifting, not, how can I say, not per main for a long time. You need to increase, or the reps that you're doing in that exercise, of the weight that you're lifting in that exercise.
Ah, really? So you need to be increasing the reps or the weight,
Hmm.
the repetitions or the weight. Why is that?
Because our body could
So you should.
get used to do certain amount of
Ah, okay.
repetitions or a certain amount of weight, and to
Okay.
like to break these barriers inside, to increase the repetitions, or
Or
increase
the
the
weight.
weight in general, increase the intensity that we are training. Yeah.
Okay. Increase the intensity. Well, you could even develop a tutorial, Mickey, about health.
Yeah,
Why not, right?
why not?
It makes sense. Yeah, because if you are familiar with that, and if you can create a tutorial actually in English, that you'll be able to like to, let's see, just as an experiment, how many subscribers you get,
Yeah,
right?
and I
So
have
it's the
seen people
game.
who normally do this type of, well, give this type of information, and in occasion these people misinformed the other people, selling like products
Oh,
or,
really?
yeah. And I think that
Okay.
obviously there are people who gives the correct information, but so many of them just try to sell products that doesn't work, or try to sell routines that they put like magical routines that do this exercise for 1 month and you're gonna reduce your belly and you're gonna have a six pack, and more than do exercises to really bring your diet to create that six pack.
Okay. Right. Well, that's truly interesting. Tonight I'm gonna go back to Irapuato. So tomorrow probably we could have the class in the morning if you wish, like 8:30 or 9. Tomorrow Tuesday. How about that? You think it's
Yes,
possible,
sure,
Mickey?
will be perfect. Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay. Today I start a bit later because tomorrow is Tuesday, and the
Hmm.
idea is having three classes today to recover the other class that we need, and we have two classes pending, right?
Yeah, yes, sure, will be perfect if it's
All
tomorrow.
right. So, okay, Mickey. Well, today we had our biology discussion and hormonal discussion, and it turned into the
Yeah,
gym discussion too, right?
yeah, it was interesting, to be honest. I forgot some things that we saw today, but more or less I started to remember. So it was a good conversation, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, as usual, very good, Mickey. Thank you very much. So, see you tomorrow then. Take care and say hello to the family, please.
Yes, teacher. Thank you. You too. Enjoy your day.
Take care.